Publishing. I'm Meegan Morgan, and I'm here today with Peggy Tierney, publisher. Today we're going to talk about what makes you a good author to work with. Peggy, over the years you've worked with a lot of different creatives, from authors to illustrators. So today I'm going to bring 4 key components to the table that I would like for you to talk to us from your perspective on how it relates to authors and illustrators.
Okay.
So those 4 components are creative temperament, idea creation, communication, and then finally revision style. Okay, so for creative temperament, you're in the business of working with creative people. And for creative people, it can either be amazing to collaborate with them, or that creativity can take a title in a whole new direction. So what are some personality traits when working with authors that you have learned about over the years?
There's 2 big things with authors. One is kind of openness to someone else's ideas about their manuscript, or listening to how a reader reads it. The authors that don't work very well with editors are the ones that care more about what they want to write rather than what their readers want to read. For instance, if you want to write something that has a very fast pace, then if you want to stop and describe a lot, then that is going to kind of interfere with that pace that you're wanting to set. Or if you have a character that says something that's completely opposite to what that character has been saying or acting like before, then maybe you need to be open to hearing that. You have to think about, how is a reader reading this? How is it coming across to them? What is their experience? So being open, being kind of reader focused, and also being professional, treating it like the business that it is. If someone just wants to have this personal passion project, they should probably just self-publish. But if they want to get royalties and they want to have professional editors and designers and illustrators and marketing and salespeople, that means they've gone into an industry, because all those people have to be paid. So they really have to respect the idea that there are deadlines and that we have to go through a certain process.
So let's talk about the illustrator. What key creative temperaments are you looking for as a publisher on the illustrator side?
Right. So again, it's kind of somewhat related about professionalism. I think that as an illustrator, you're really having to respect the story. You can't just invent stuff off the top of your head. You have to respect the story and the feel and the style that the publisher or art director is looking for. So it's a real collaborative process, and you have to be willing to be a part of that collaboration.
How do you like to work with authors and illustrators when it comes to bringing their best ideas to the forefront?
Well, really, I just kind of either point out something that's a little off, like I said, my previous example, where a character suddenly seems out of character. So maybe I will just be saying, well, would this character say this, or would he say that? Or wouldn't this be an interesting situation? I just throw out ideas, and then it has to spark something with them. So they're going to find that one thing. Or maybe I might even throw out a line to say, well, they could say it this way. Well, maybe the author doesn't see that character saying a certain thing, but they will come up with a different, better way that they see is more true. A lot of times authors take my ideas and make them better.
So how involved are you in the creation or the shaping of a manuscript for a new pumped title?
Well, generally, the manuscript's been written before I see it. So it's really just the editing, going back through it and making sure it's absolutely the best it can be. And that means looking at everything. Are the characters true to themselves? Do we understand who they are? Do we understand their motivations, what they want? Do we understand the plot? Is the pace right? Is the language right? The level of language in kids' books is a big thing. Is it right for that age range that it's written for? It's just a lot of different things that we look at.
Do you have an author that you've worked with in the past who's wanted you to be very involved in the process during the editing?
Mike Mullen is one. He is wonderfully open. There's a reason why I work with him over and over, because he's so open to suggestions and feedbacks. And a book that we're going to publish in spring 2018, I felt really fortunate because he did show me a manuscript in really early forms. Or again, Cynthia Weil, it was wonderful. I mean, we really, worked together throughout the manuscript and made a lot of changes that I think just all it did was develop all her wonderful ideas even more. That's really all it did. So once in a while, a manuscript comes in that is just absolute perfection as it's written. One example I can think of is Wild Roses Weaving by Ginger Churchill. It was just beautiful, and I just didn't want to change a word. And another one is Yes Let's by Galen Longstreth and Maris Wicks. Again, like it just couldn't be changed. It was just so funny and great. I think we changed one word in the entire manuscript. So, but then sometimes I almost like it when manuscripts need more, because then that kind of gives me stuff to do and lets me be creative, like kind of stretch my creative legs. And so that's nice too. Then I really, feel a real part of it.
It's nice when there's that diamond in the rough that comes in.
Yes, I love that actually.
The illustrator side on idea creation, how involved are you on that, and what do you do to bring that to the forefront?
In the most basic level, the illustrator has to follow the story. Sometimes my role is to say, wait a minute, that's not here. This is contradicting the actual story. In the best scenario, the illustrator is figuring out how to not just follow the story, but enhance the story and bring this little, sometimes they'll bring little subplots or just enrich the story. And so, and that's the kind of thing that maybe I might have an idea to throw out about how that, could work. And again, it's sometimes the illustrator might do it exactly, but sometimes they take the general idea or they see what I'm talking about and go, oh, well, I know an even better way to do this and do it. And so that's really fun for me too.
Communication, we all know, is very important in no matter what industry you work in, right? So for publishing and when you work with your creatives, what's your communication style?
My communication style is definitely emailing. Because I'm before anything else, I'm a reader and writer. And so I feel way more comfortable writing out my thoughts and knowing that I'm going to get those thoughts exactly right as far as how I say them. But sometimes when there's a difficulty or a problem, then you've got to pick up a phone and talk through something. And that's fine too. But I would say 90% of the communication is in writing.
So what do you say or do to help the creatives know that you're on this journey with them, that you support them, and that the relationship that you have with them is important to you?
Well, I let them know how much I love what they're doing, like all the things that they're doing right. I think when I talk to them and I show how much I'm thinking about it and how I feel about it, they know I have passion for it, and that helps a lot. They respect passion. They want to hear passion. So yeah.
Right. And it also helps to let them know that you've embraced the vision that they've brought to the table.
Absolutely. I always want to respect it. I'm not a heavy-handed editor who wants to bring it back to my vision or something I want to do. I'm just there to help them make their vision all it can be.
The final one is the revision style. So what have you learned about yourself through the editing and manuscript management process?
I have learned that I'm not meant to be a writer, but I am meant to be an editor. And I've come to realize what gives me editing skills. And one is that I'm very analytical, And the other thing is I have a lot of empathy. I'm almost overly empathetic. I kind of feel the world's pain. But what it lets me do is get inside the head of the author and really get what they're trying to do. I can get inside the head of the characters. And so that helps too. And also I had to learn that when you have something difficult to say, you've got to pick up the phone. You can't write emails.
We've talked mostly about best case scenarios between authors and illustrators, but what traits make an author hard to work with?
Oh, it all goes back to that professionalism where they don't want to think of it as a professional endeavor. I had one author I kind of broke with, and that author had a high-level job, and I even spoke to them about it when I was going to sign the contract to say, are you still going to have the time to do this? And I was assured yes, but then when push came to shove, not only did the author not go to a conference they were invited to and supposed to go, but wouldn't even communicate with. That was someone who kind of just saw publishing as this fun little side business and not really respecting it as a real business and a really tough business and a business where I take a big risk on a whole lot of money to publish a book. But another quality that any publisher, editor wants to see is the willingness to promote. It's not always possible because writers tend to be introverts, and I understand that. There are people who sit by themselves in a room, and write and write and write, and it is hard. We're kind of taught to not self-promote, but you really have to self-promote with a book. So I'm very forgiving in that way, but I love it when they are willing to go out and do promotion. So. But I'm lucky though. I'm really lucky. Most of my authors are absolutely wonderful.
Peggy, I have just enjoyed talking to you today.
I always love talking to you, Meegan.
Thank you so much for joining us today in this installment of Into the Woods. Join us next time and stay tuned.